Well, howdy, folks. This is America's #1 business news podcast, Market Explainer, brought to you by myself, Danny, and also occasionally my host, the big man. He's sitting right over there.
That's right.
He wears a cowboy hat, even though we're both out-in-the-wool Texans. He's trying to one-up me.
That's why I wear a cowboy hat. What are you talking about? I was born with one of these on my head, all right?
Before we jump into this first story about just a massive acquisition that's going down in the marketplace right now, I want to tell you about our exclusive Patreon that is live that anybody can join. At our top tier, you can call us nasty names.
Call Danny nasty names. I don't. There's nobody out there that wishes me ill will. We know that from our current.
There's at least one person,
comments.
and I'm right here.
We know that by our current internet comments that Danny is always the one that people don't like. It's.
That's not true. All I have for you is Disdain and Venom. You can go to patreon.com/Market Explainer. You can join our board of directors, in quotes. I don't want any of you thinking you joined our legitimate board of directors and then suing us later when we didn't call it because there's a distribution and we didn't call you for a board vote. And you're just like, well, I paid for their Patreon. I paid
Danny wants nothing to do with no one. Believe me, he wants nothing to do with any one of you.
That's correct. Now, I don't know if you're ready for this, people, but
yeah.
NortonLifeLock, which is apparently one company, which I don't know where I was for that merger, is going to acquire Avast, which is a different cybersecurity spyware company.
They're all spyware, junkware / virus protection, yada 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 yadas. The difference between the two being Norton started off originally as a paid software, right? It's been around forever, pay-only software. Avast is one of those freemium softwares that came along several years ago that a lot of people liked a lot better than Norton. Not only because it was free, but you're talking about competing companies. And when you talk about virus, spyware, and stuff like that, you're talking about predictive algorithms and knowing, okay, this virus is new, this spyware's new, and you're talking about an industry that's always trying to figure each other out, right? Right. Every virus, hacker, spyware out there, maker, data collector is trying to get by any virus protection, spyware protection, whatever, constantly, and vice versa. They're trying to figure out the hackers so that they can prevent it and that kind of stuff. So you're talking about really two different industries, but it really boils down to this purchase, really boils down to what we always talk about. They're buying how many is it? 435 million freemium subscribers.
Is it that many?
435 million people at some level between free and paid subscribe to Avast.
Right. And I don't know how their technology works, but on some level there is a computer learning element here, which is spread our stuff out wider. You know, they're probably learning about what sort of attacks are coming. Because if you're at the lower level, you're at that free tier on Avast, you probably don't have tons of computer knowledge, and so you're probably clicking on dumb things. And so they're on some level probably, I don't know, probably recording that information and learning from it and learning that, hey, these are the attacks at the higher level. So they're a little more adequately prepared to actually protect their customers. Now, me, as a creative genius and a corporate structurist, as I like to call myself, I think this is a deal valued anywhere between $8.1 billion with a B billion dollars to $8.6 billion. I think that there's going to be, I believe that NortonLifeLock Avast, whatever they end up calling themselves, which probably should just be Norton Avast or something. I don't know. There's too many names here. I think what they need to think about going forward is the business they're in is fear, right? They deal in fear. That's their business. People are afraid, so they want to protect their assets. In the world we live in today, you and I were talking about this before we started recording, something called the Freedom Phone out right now. We're not giving any opinion on the Freedom Phone, saying I'm not buying one. But I do believe people are concerned with their privacy on their phone.
Absolutely.
And so if I'm Norton LifeLock Avast, and I'm this new $8.6 billion venture, the thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on developing a new product for people to encrypt their phone, something. Maybe I come out with a hardware because there's plenty of options they can go to in China to acquire a small manufacturer of devices. They can come out with their own version of Android. There's a million options. But I'm just saying, if I'm Norton LifeLock Avast and I'm trying to look at the future, how do we continue to grow our enterprise? That's what I'm doing. I'm giving them free advice here today. I know that the CEO is obviously watching this show, as all CEOs do. We are the world's #1 business news podcast, so why wouldn't he be watching? I think that's what they do. I think they need to focus on developing something because I think the market is starving for that. Like I was saying, their business is fear. That's what they're selling.
Well, and look, everybody how many industries truly, everybody says, oh, our industry applies to so many facets. No, this cybersecurity is something that affects consumers, small businesses, and large businesses. How many articles have you read in the last 18 months about everybody at all different kinds of levels of all kinds of different stuff? Here's the deal, though, and this is, you and I have talked about a lot of purchases, and $8.6 billion sounds like a lot of money. That's what they're going to pay ballpark for Avast. So they're actually a much bigger. They're actually a much bigger company once they mush together. But they're paying $8.6 billion, which sounds like a lot of money for a company that only makes I don't remember what the millions of dollars, $471 million in the first half of 2021. So you're only talking about a $900 million annual company that they're buying for $8.6 billion.
Is that Avast, you mean?
Yeah, it doesn't sound right, but here, let me put this in a different perspective for you.
That's a nutty multiple. They're paying, it's about $1 billion, it's a $900 million in turnover annually, and they're paying a crazy, like a 9x multiple for that business.
Well, nuts. But here's the deal. Think about it this way, and this is why I say it's not a crazy number. Because unlike a lot of what we've talked about where are they getting these crazy valuations and blah, 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 think about this. They're not buying Avast. They're buying their customers. So if you take the $8.6 billion and divide it by the 435 million users, you're only paying $20 per customer.
It ain't crazy then.
$20
a customer.
Every business knows what it takes. I know in every real estate business how much it costs me per customer. Like I have a marketing budget, right? I get X number of clients from that. You divide that out, and every business know what it costs to get a customer in the door.
Right.
A customer. Yeah. And $20 is insanely cheap per customer. Right. So Norton is paying $20 per new customer.
That's nuts. Listen, and all the data that goes along with it, because it's not like they're acquiring a new customer at $20. They're acquiring an existing customer with long-standing history. And there's listen, as much as we look to these other companies to protect us from other we're going to big corporations saying, "Hey, can you protect us from the other big corporation?" Like, but I'm just saying they're going to they're collecting the data too. They're looking at the data as well. So,
they get to collect the data from Avast now, mesh it with what they have. Look, Norton went through a period of time in the late 2000s into the 2010s that didn't have a great name. That I think they sat back on their laurels a little bit. Where Norton, they didn't keep up with the newer viruses that were coming out.
McAfee was out there just absolutely killing it.
Right. So, and then you come
not
and
John
Avast,
McAfee, the company.
Yeah.
John McAfee was out there doing something else. May he rest in peace. If he's
Avast was shooting up, right, and that kind of stuff. So I think that if they handle this right. Now, these are both publicly traded companies. I want to make that clear because, look, this is Market Explainer. I want you to know that if you own stock in Avast, which has done pretty well for you overall, it's been down the last year, but done pretty well with you. I know this is a little technical for most of us, but I wanted to get out there. You have two options if you own stock in Avast with Norton purchasing Avast. You have two options. One of them, you get $2.37 cash Here's your cash for each share, and you get 1/5 of a share. So every 5 shares of Avast, you can get 1 share of Norton. Or you can take a bigger payout up front at $7.76 or 61 cents a share, and you only get 3/10 of a share of Norton. So depending on how you think it's going to grow totally, if you think Norton's a good investment, you would take the first option. If you don't think Norton's going to be an investment, you take the bigger payout up front and go on about your business, right? So I know that gets a little technical, but people need to know what they can do.
Of course, and listen, man, give me cash today. That's my always. I'll take cash now. Oh, well, you might be worth more later.
It just depends. Look, Norton with these subscribers and stuff like that, what really hit Avast, and this is every company goes through this when they change. Avast, what's their business model? Get people in for free, and then you upsell them on, hey, here's a better product, here's a better service. Whatever, right? Which is working for them. The problem with subscription fees is when you go, last year, they decided as a company, for whatever reason, that they went from a monthly premium to an annual premium. And when you go for that, Avast did. So when they went through that, they lost subscribers because people, for whatever reason, don't like that bigger dollar amount, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that $5 a month is $60 a year. I want to pay $5 a month.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I'd rather pay for a year. Like I was also saying before, where I think they should develop more cybersecurity products for the consumer. How come they don't? Do they offer a VPN right now? Because they should be offering a VPN service.
They absolutely do, and this is where I think Norton is ultimately going. And we've talked about how work from home is here to stay.
Right.
Is if they can take this clients, right? Their clients, these 435 million new clients,
right,
and market the work from home, VPN, other service products to protect them. They now have a built-in audience that they can offer those services directly to, and that doesn't even count the employer side. That's hey, do you want to protect you at home, even though you're logging into your company's accounts and computers and whatever? Do you want to protect yourself?
Listen, this is aside from this story, but I don't think it's not just work from home is here to stay. I think a lot more people, because of this, are going to be freelancing in one way or another, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think corporate interests and the interests of the individual are going to align in a manner that puts a lot of people in the freelance category because they end up, their job wants them to do things they don't want to do, to go back into the office. So they say you have to come back into the office, and they go, I think so. Mm-hmm. Right? And they're saying, I think I read somewhere something like the average Google employee that decides to work from home permanently is going to lose something around 25% of their income just by refusing to go to the office.
Some companies are trying to incentivize some people coming back, but that's a small group. And they've yet to proven whether that actually does what they want it to do.
Right.
And those things really pivot really easily. If everybody goes, all right, then cut my pay by 20%, which millennials will do, by the way. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
For being at home, yeah.
But now you put that and you switch that up and go, okay, well, what about one of the stories we talked about last week about cloud services and cloud computing? Yeah. How did these tie into that? Because cloud computing, everything's on a server. Nothing's in front of you but hardware. So how do these things fit into that in the future of cloud computing and stuff like that? And if they do...
Right. Because if a company like VMware, which is Dell last week, if they have an infection, it's not their machine. It's all the machines.
Exactly.
And so cybersecurity is hugely important for them. And hey, listen, here's how one way I measure like the growth of the cybersecurity industry is, if you want to go get, I think it's 16 weeks in a lot of places, well, they'll certify you to do cybersecurity, IT security in 16 weeks. Faster than a bachelor's degree. Yep, faster than a bachelor's degree. 16 weeks, and they're like, we'll place you at a company and you don't have to pay us. There's a bunch of these services out there now saying we'll teach you how to be a cybersecurity expert in 16. Some of them are 32 weeks, which is a whole 2 semesters of a university, but that's still 1 year, and you can actually go out there and work. So when an industry explodes in growth like this, they need workers. So that's one way I'm measuring the growth of cybersecurity. It's one way to measure it is the need for workers such that they are lowering the barrier to entry to get anybody through the door. And let me tell you something. I have people in my family, people that I know that were just around when, just computers in general were becoming a thing. They had a little bit of knowledge and it advanced it was a surf. They were able to just surf in.
Sure.
And they were able to grow with the industry. And by the time they were executives at places, then all of a sudden someone over here offers a bachelor's degree in it, and now you need a bachelor's degree to get the job.
And you're grandfathered in because you were before the bachelor's degree. No, there was an industry I was in way before that. But yeah, look, and I'm pretty almost certain, somebody would have to fact check me on this, but I'm pretty certain that cybersecurity is one of those Google classroom kind of things that you can almost do on your own and get a Google certificate, right?
It's Grow.
In cybersecurity,
Google, yeah.
Whatever it is, but directly from Google, right? Google started putting out these classes and certificate classes, right? On a lot of these subjects that are very IT specific. And if Google's giving away a cybersecurity certificate for free right now,
I think it's $500, man.
It doesn't matter. If $500 is next to free.
Right. It's free.
Hey, but nonetheless, listen, this is Mark Explainer. We're not here to talk about the craziest stories, but we are here to explain stuff that's happening in the marketplace. And, grateful to the big man who actually paid attention and was reading that, was like, because when you said 435 million users, I was like, there's no way. And then I looked it up. You're correct. So,
yeah, well, I am from time to time, which is actually most of the time, whether you give me credit or not.
Right.
Yet again, knowledge, lunacy, but hey.
Yeah, no, hold on. I'm correct 100% of the time.
Only according to Danny, and do not fact check that at all.
No, you can fact check that, but you just have to go through my fact checking company.
Oh, is that what it is? Pay Danny, and he will tell you exactly what he wants you to know.
That's correct. But before we move on to this next story, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Acre Gold. The new store of value, you can meet it today. It's the same as the old store of value. Gold. Acre Gold lets you, with a subscription model, save up and buy 2.5 grams of gold at a time. You give them $50 a month, and when that $50 equals the cost of 2.5 grams of gold, they ship it out to you. I love gold as not just an investment, but a hedge against inflation. Inflation is not in the news at all right now. I wouldn't worry about that whatsoever. It's not like it's 12% in a month. But you can click down in the link down in the description down below. You can see you can go to Acre Gold and you can buy gold. We get a little kickback.
Yeah. Look, everybody knows how this works. This is nothing new, folks.
Yeah.
Use the link, buy the gold, which you should be buying anyway.
Right.
We get a kickback.
Of course. Yeah. Well, this next story, of course, I don't know. The big man's going to probably say something like, I was saying this is a story, and now I'm starting to tell you what. Pew, pew, pew.
Actually, this is a really good story. This is actually, one that I'm probably going to take it in a way that Danny doesn't know or like or understand, but, hey.
Okay. Target is going to pay 100% of college tuition and textbooks in a bid to attract new workers. Some of you may or may not be aware, there is a labor shortage in the country. A lot of people attribute, high unemployment for people. They're getting a lot of money in unemployment. A handful of states have discontinued federal unemployment for that reason, to force people back in the market, back to the workforce. But a lot of it has to do with the economy got shut down. And people had to figure out how to make do. I think this is part of the problem, part of it. People had to figure out how to make do, and so many people started an OnlyFans account. They started selling stuff on Etsy or Shopify. They were like, I have to do something to survive, and that survival mechanism turned into a real opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I think a portion of people who might not have thought of themselves as entrepreneurs were forced into entrepreneurship, and now they're going, how would I go back to work somewhere?
Well, I think that definitely is a slice right? That is definitely a percentage of people that's happened to.
Right.
I am, and again, we are not a political show. This is a business news podcast. These are my opinions, not political statements. They're my opinions.
Right.
And my opinion, part of this is and look, screw Target and everybody else that is doing this. I do not believe that there's a labor shortage. I think there is a people aren't willing to do what they were willing to do for the pay that they were willing to do it, right? Look at these industries that are labor shortages: restaurants, retail, all of these people that get spit on, kicked on, chewed on, beat on all day, every day for the least amount of money on the planet. And and that cost incentive of doing that. How many videos, and again, I know you're not a TikTok user, but one of the biggest TikTok trends right now is people going, okay, if we're going to shut down again, I'm no longer going to be essential. I'm staying home this time. I worked all of last COVID. I'm not doing it again. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Corona, whatever. I'll clip to that. But I'm no longer going to be essential. And here's the deal, folks, is why... And look, this is all great. I mean, it's a great story. Target is going to give you free tuition, free this. But
I don't think it's a great story. Let me tell you what I think it is. I am nobody. I think that minimum wage is zero. I don't think you can do anything to lift the minimum wage. It is impossible. You cannot do it. It's like gravity. It's $0. People can make nothing. Here's the situation. When people don't want to work at a certain job for a certain amount of money, you have to pay them more. Okay?
Right.
And that's called the market. The market is responding, and this is what someone like me, again, this is not a political show, but I'm open about the fact that I'm a hardcore capitalist, and I believe that the entire government should be privatized. But this is the market responding to those jobs, saying, we're not doing it for this much money anymore.
Right, exactly.
The government doesn't have to come in and say it needs to be 15 or 20. People are saying we're not doing it for 10. And Target is stupid. Not stupid, but Target, in this particular sense, any of the corporations are going, we don't want to pay more money. We're going to throw free tuition at people. And I've seen so many of these programs. We're going to pay your tuition. Now you go pay the tuition. You submit it to the company. I don't know if this is how they're doing it, but I've seen other places.
No, they're doing it directly to the university, and we'll get into that in a second, because that to me is one of the most interesting parts about this story.
So we'll leave that for later. But what I'm saying is, then just pay them more money.
Just pay them more money. See, that's my thing.
Yeah.
Screw you and your free tuition and your free books. All of those. Again, I don't get any of this. Just pay them more money. I don't understand because I agree with you. To me, raising minimum wage is not an answer.
Nothing. But here's what's happened. So many people got kicked out of the market, kicked out of the workforce. Mm-hmm. Whether they downgraded their lifestyle, I don't know what they did. Whether they said, screw this, I'm going to go do van life. I'm going to make $1,000 a month doing van, or whatever,
Right.
They had to figure out how to survive, and they went, I'm not going back to that kind of career, that lifestyle, that job. A dead-end job, working at Target, working at Walmart, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I'm not going back to that for such little money. And I'm one of these. If I ever build a huge, massive corporation, which is not something I'm likely to do because it's not in my personality type, I'd rather own investments, and I just don't want to be that hands-on. But I'm just saying, like, if I was to ever do that, I would have a strict thing where it's like everyone's a 1099 contract. We're going to pay you the maximum amount of cash that we can put in your pocket. You figure the rest of it out. And if you want to go to college, take it out of your money. Like, they're doing this because they understand one thing. This is a carrot they're going to dangle in front of people's faces. But then, how many people, they're going to go, I'm going to apply to a job at Target because they're going to go to college. How many people are actually going to figure out how to actually get Target to pay so they know they're not going to have to pay?
And how many people are going to actually use... See, this is what I hate about incentives. Is Target can come out and be all over the news. You and I sit here and talk about this because they're doing this to help recruit people and keep people and create an educated workforce. When here's the reality. They are offering a service, regardless of how it's completed, and again, we'll get to that in a second, that they know that at least a large portion of the people that go to work for Target will never use.
They get all the accolades of the corporate
Exactly.
responsibility from having done it. They get all the good PR. They go, hey, Walmart and Amazon fulfillment, they're not paying for you to go to college.
It's like everything on late night infomercials that offer a money back guarantee. They know that 9 out of 10 times, whether it works or doesn't, you won't jump through the hoops of getting your money returned to you. This is the same thing.
Yeah, what are the hoops?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how low level the hoop is. Even mail us back what you didn't use. People aren't going to do it. If it requires anything, they're just not going to do it. And so I'll give you a firm example, and then we'll move on to how this is working, because I think that's the most interesting part. My nephew, 17-year-old kid, right? High school kid, working or whatever, at the height of last year, was making $18 an hour to get your groceries, right, that you ordered online to bring out to your car. He was getting paid $18 an hour to pick groceries off the shelf and put them in a bag and put them in your trunk. $18 an hour. But as soon as the number of those shoppers diminished because the spring and whatever, what did they do to his job? Gone. Now, this is my point. And again, I'm actually all for that. You don't need something and you're paying somebody a lot more. You should be able to. But that to me is this Target's trying to get by what you and I just said. I don't care about minimum wage. If you can't get somebody to do that job, you got to pay somebody more to do it. Don't give these little stupid incentives. Don't tell me you think I'm dumb, which is what to me you're doing.
Yes.
Right?
Like, this is your call. Here's the thing. Again, I'm just saying I'm not we need to fight for 15. That's the opposite of what I am. I'm just saying that you're telling me that I don't know the difference between money and college tuition reimbursement. I know the difference between, like, hey guys, I want more money. Best we can do is we ping pong table in the break room. I want more money.
But you can wear jeans on Friday, Danny. You can wear jeans on Friday. Wacky shirt Wednesdays.
Right, yeah.
Right? Like,
Trader Joe's, I don't care.
Can we get over this culture crap? I mean, seriously, I get that every business needs to be cohesive and you need to work as a team, and I'm all for that. But can we get over this culture crap that I'm supposed to be loyal to you when you know at the drop of the hat you are never loyal to me? Can we get over that and just simply go back to, you want me to do a job, I'm willing to do it for X price, and let's all move on from there. I will spend, if I want to go to college, I'll spend it. If I want it, you know what I mean?
I 100% agree, and I think there is a lack of basic market understanding of, there's all of this corporate culture, these consultants come in and they say, we need to say special words. Nobody cares.
No, nobody cares. Here's the real winner of this story, and most people will miss it. It's called Guild Education. Guild Education is the name.
Okay.
Here's the real winner. Guild Education is a company that goes around, because Target is not going to University of Texas and saying, hey, can we negotiate down an admissions and books prices and whatever. No. That would be way too difficult, right? Yeah. Guild Education, which nobody's heard of ever.
I just heard of it right now.
Okay, is a multi-million-dollar business that does that. And they partner with places like University of Arizona, Rice University in Houston, Michigan State University, all these nonprofit colleges that every state university in every state, they go to places like Target and say, hey, you want to offer this to all of your clients. Here's a list of colleges, and here's a list of degrees that apply to your business. You pay the tuition directly to the university. So you don't. There's no reimbursement process or whatever. You pay for the books or whatever, and guess what the college does with some of that money? What? They give it to Guild Education.
Of course, yeah, because they got the
the partnership.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And that's how all of the listen. It's a referral bonus, right?
But again, this is an industry that honestly, I didn't know, an industry as far as what Guild Education does, I didn't know existed a day ago.
Right. Okay.
Until I started looking into this story. And they're the winner. Yeah. They're the winner in this.
I know someone in Austin, actually. I have their business card somewhere upstairs. I know someone in Austin who their full-time job is helping kids figure out what college to go to and sign up for different incentives programs, different tuition
grants,
reimbursements,
fill out applications.
Yes.
Yes.
They guide you through the process. We don't charge the student a penny. I remember this guy saying that repeatedly. We don't charge him anything. And he's getting stupid dummy kickbacks from the universities, from the programs, because some of these grants, they're government grants, so they have to get them kicked out or they have to get them sent out. And so there's all these incentives. And listen, for that guy, he figured out how to navigate the waters. Good for him. Let him get paid. For Guild Education, let him get paid.
They're getting paid. And here's the kicker, Danny.
No bucks.
Here's the kicker. The co-creator, co-owner, and current CEO of Guild Education, Stanford College dropout.
There you go. I love it. I freaking love it. I love anytime a dropout, he's going around promoting the thing that they left. Like, I dropped out of college to start this business.
That's exactly Rachel Carlson. Rachel Carlson, current CEO of Guild Education, Stanford dropout.
Right.
To create and start this. Like, that is, see, that to me is the real story behind this Target story. Like, Target doing it, fine, whatever. Just pay people more money, you'll get more employees.
Yeah,
easy, done.
Hard.
You're stupid, right? But this, the winner in these, and guess what? Their business is just going to grow because companies out there, they are hard-headed because they know if they pay employees more, that goes to that takes away from the bottom line, which stockholders don't like. But if they offer perks, these perks are tax write-offs. They're perks, right? They can write them off. It lessens the bottom line. And I look, I would just get rid of them. Look, I'll say it. I like you, am a capitalist in a different way. I've got a bigger heart. I don't believe in the anarchy part. I believe we should still have we have a responsibility to people. Danny doesn't necessarily agree with that. However, I am a capitalist in that stop all of these dumb yeah, see, that's Danny. That's Danny's true face right there, folks.
That's my real face.
He's an anarchist capitalist or whatever he calls himself. But I don't believe anarcho-capitalist. Excuse me. I'm gonna buy you a shirt that says anarcho-capitalist right there.
I already made them.
My point though is stop offering these dumb things and just pay people. Just pay them. You'll find all the employees you want, and it'll probably cost you less in the long run to retain them.
Well, because I think if you go out there and you start paying kids, whomever, $20 an hour, I think you're going to find the right kind of workers. You know. Yeah,
and Rachel Carlson and Guild Education.
Yeah.
Good on you, man. I found a new superhero. I found a new person that I'm gonna have to follow on Twitter, and you know what I mean. Maybe we can get her on the podcast here to talk about how she thought this because it sounds like a scam to me. It's not a scam. It's a business model. But
it feels like one.
A Stanford college dropout creates a business that gets kickbacks from colleges for finding businesses that want to send people to college for free. It sounds like a scam. It feels like a scam, but she's making millions, Danny. Millions.
Of course, listen, one party note, I think general university education, for 90% of the people who go is a scam. That's just my opinion.
The return on investment, I don't know about scam, but return on investment is definitely not there in most industries.
I agree with that. So let's just, with that, where we both agree on something for the first time in history of the show, let's move on to this next story. But first, I want to tell you about Big Man Gear. Big Man Gear surveyed this guy right here, right there. BigManGear.com. You can go there. It will forward you to the Amazon Prime store, where you can get all of the Big Man's merchandise. I think it is everybody's goal in life to become an influencer so they can have merch. Everybody wants to be Logan and Jake Paul. So you can go to BigManGear.com because who doesn't need another T-shirt with a fun, quirky, horny thing on it?
That's right.
So that's BigManGear.com. But this next story, as I just said, sponsored by BigManGear.com, is Turo submits a draft registration to propose that they're going to go public via an IPO. It's called an S1, but they filed their S1. They're not going to go SPAC, which surprises me. Firstly, secondly, never made a profit in their entire existence. What are you doing? Secondly, thirdly,
this is why they're not going SPAC. This is why this company should not be on any list for IPO, SPAC, for nothing. It's a losing business model and has never made money and is not. This whole BS part of this, we're looking to be profitable in 2022. You're lying. You're lying out of your teeth.
No, hold on. They're looking to be profitable, but they know they ain't going to be profitable. Come on.
First of all, Turo, awful name. Awful name, says nothing about what their business model, but what they do.
Am I a host on Turo? Well, probably. Do I have a small fleet on Turo? That could be possible. So let's not just start pissing all over Turo.
So Turo, tell everybody what Turo is, Danny. What is it?
So Turo is Airbnb for cars. So the basic concept is, if you're a host on Turo, you rent out cars on Turo. Listen, like every other industry, there's somebody who wants to sell for $33.99. Click here now. I'm going to teach you how to become a billionaire on Turo.
Well, and look, the most profitable, if you can say that, part of their business is convincing people out there to rent out their luxury cars, their Lambos, So this is their profit. And again, but how many people out there are willing to rent out their Lambos, their expensive cars to these idiots? All you need is somebody to crash that $400,000 car, and insurance. Does Turo pick up that,
So Turo has a split, and it depends. You can decide on, want to split the net earnings 60-40, 70-30, and you decide what happens. But here's what ends up being the case. Now, this isn't everybody. This is just a little bit of research that I've done on my own, but it turns out that in situations where vehicles are totaled, not only is the insurance company going to drag their feet, guess who else is dragging their feet on getting you your payments back? Turo.
Yeah.
So,
look, you're talking about a company that wants to go IPO that in 2019, Danny, lost $47 million.
That's it? You only lost $50 million? That's it?
And you want to go IPO. We're ready. We're ready to go IPO. We only lost $50 million.
Listen, this is how wealth is transferred from middle income to high middle income earners to wealthy people. Wealthy people put up the investment. They put up all the money. The business never turns a profit, but they have a cultural significance or something. Mm-hmm. And then what do? They go public, and the public, they just start, I'm going to buy the stock, and the public buys up the stock, and then the wealthy billionaire who put the money up in a failing business gets paid.
Gets out. Gets paid and gets out. Their risk is over. Risk is over. They've made not only their money back, but all kinds of profit, and now my risk is over. Right?
And they're on to the next one.
And they're on to the next, so here's my deal. Okay, so in this article, they say, and again because if you're not part of the SEC yet, right, or any of that, your accounting is not verified by other accountants, right? That's part of SEC filings and blah, 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 right?
That's part of what the S1 does. It starts the process.
When they filed this, they're saying, unverified, saying that they've had their first quarter of profitability. Now, later in the article, they say, buried at the bottom, they say how they gain profitability is they let go a third of their workforce. So, we've had our first quarter of profitability. That's awesome. Great. How did you do that? We laid off a third of our workforce. What are you
Right. So, here's the thing. This is accounting tricks. So basically what's happening here is they knew that they could have been profitable, but they carried all these extra employees. They fire everybody. Listen, bro, if you can't make money as a business that rents cars in the car rental apocalypse year of 2020 and 2021, where all of the car rental companies sold off their rental cars, and then on the back end, I know somebody who's renting a car right now from one of the largest private car rental companies in the country, in the world, okay? Mm-hmm. They got pulled over and the police said, your vehicle doesn't have legitimate registration. The plate's off of a different car. The guy renting the car goes, I rented the car, here's the paperwork, it says the license plate number. He goes, okay, I'm not going to give you a ticket because it's not your fault, but they have to come pick up the car. Car rental companies had 4 days to come pick up, they haven't done it yet. So the car rental companies are on fire. They're a mess.
Right.
And if you can't make money in that season without fire, if that's the only way you can make money is we had to fire everybody.
Right, 100 people, which is a third of their workforce, which I guarantee you wasn't upper or middle management.
Yeah, it was on the lower end, yeah.
It was on the low end of people doing the work, but now you're working on 2/3 of the staff trying to get more work done because you're trying to grow, right? Yeah. This is classic shoot yourself in the foot when you're already 6 feet under. We're going to have to put this on the calendar to look at again 6 months from now, because I might have to challenge myself in some stupid way because if this company makes IPO or the SEC allows this company to go public, and barring some huge change, right? It's insanity to me. How is the SEC worth anything if they allow a company like this to go?
I think this might be your first red pill, big man. I expect them to pass with flying colors through all of the oversight from the SEC. I'm just thinking me personally. Now, I've never used Turo and probably will never use Turo, but I'm saying, I might rent cars on there because other people want to rent from me. But I'm just saying, I don't understand. Well, I guess this goes to show how much of what we believe is the market is fake. Might not be the correct word, but our belief or understanding about what the market is a misunderstanding, because the real market is this. This is the real market, right? And so that old saying, caveat emptor, buyer beware, right? Mm-hmm. That's where this is coming. That's where this is. It's buyer beware, baby. You gotta have some awareness here that when it comes to, I might rent cars on their platform, but I'm not going to use it for my personal use ever.
Well, but they're not the only one in this space either, right? There's Get Around and there's a couple of others, but they're not even the leading one in this space.
Well, I think they might be the leading in the peer-to-peer car sharing.
What I read about it, but again, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if they're the leading one or not because they're still unprofitable.
Exactly. So they're not
going to public.
It's just insane to me, right? But again, you're right. We'll have to check back in on this. We'll do this as one of our updates or whatever, our special programs.
It's going to be exclusive to Patreon now. You have to get the bottom level, and we're going to get some new content going over there. But yeah, this is listen, and this is one of those things during the the Panini. I had extra time sitting around. I said, how do I get in the car business? Because I love cars. Sure. But I don't want to go be in the retail business of selling used cars because that's a nightmare for me, a guy like me. Mm-hmm. And I thought Turo, and I started investigating. And the more I learned about the platform, the more interested I was in being a host, the more I go, I'm never using this service.
No.
I would much rather go to the counter at the airport and get a regular car with insurance. Now, if I wanted a fancy car, this might be the way to do it. But if you look at a lot of markets, they don't always have the fancy stuff. That's where they're sure. If you're in Southern California, if you're in South Florida, they have cool stuff. But in other places, not so much.
Yeah, depending on where you go. But again, look, how many people really? And this is why I think this business model's doomed. That's where they're making money. But how many people realistically on any given day in any city are out there looking to rent a luxury car? What percentage of the 100% of people that need a rental car every day, what percentage need a Lamborghini? What percentage need something like that?
And in most of the cities where services like this, where Turo and Get Around and stuff are popular, Enterprise has an exotics. Enterprise has an exotics rental. It's off of 620 in Austin.
Absolutely.
And they have zero good inventory right now. That's my opinion. They don't have anything cool. But if I wanted to go, I'd go over there because I can checkmark liability waiver, all this other stuff, and be like, if I crumple this thing, you don't get a sue. When it comes to a company like Turo, it's not that they're necessarily bad at managing it. It's just there's an owner, there's an insurance provider, then there's Turo, there's the platform. There's too many layers here. And I got to talk to 50 different people. Whereas with a company like Enterprise or Hertz or whomever, crash the car, you total it, you bought the liability insurance.
Yeah, but a company like Enterprise, you may or may not know this, is Enterprise doesn't pay for insurance for their cars. They insure them themselves because they're a multi-billion-dollar company.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
Turo, they don't have $1 in their pocket. So if you wrap that Lambo around a tree, Turo, I can't say right now, can come help you.
Well, it's not going to be Turo. It's going to be their insurance provider. But the question is, it's not going to be like if you go to a regular rental car company. So in a scenario where you're renting a Camry, okay, I'm going to go rent it from the counter, even if it's slightly more expensive.
Right.
Because I don't like Airbnb. I want to go stay at a hotel. I'm not a good millennial in that sense. Like, it's a more authentic experience of visiting New Orleans. Now, I want to stay in a hotel that I've heard of. Right? But, yeah, like, so I just think it's a sign of the times, baby. That's what it is. You got no profit. You got no business talking about going public, and you're going public because, my guess, all of your investors are quaking in their boots, and they want out.
And you can't give it to them because you don't have $1 to spend. But here's the deal. I will give them that.
You don't want to go raise a D round because you're going to look like a D bag raising a D round at this point.
And look, if there was one positive spin I could put this is, look, if you have the ability to go IPO and you can pay off your investors and last a couple of more years and make a couple of $1 million somehow, some way as the CEO or CFO and all these things, and you have that opportunity, good on you. I don't think you should be able to, and I don't think you're going to pull it off, but try. Good on.
I think you're going to soak you're soaking your shareholders. Not your investors, your shareholders. That's what I think. That's my opinion. Yep. This is Market Explainer. If you're coming here for investment advice,
it's on you, brother.
Good luck to you. Before we jump into this next story, I want to tell you about Powerhouse Drones. If you're looking into getting your first drone, if you're looking into just learning about drones, go to powerhousedrones.com. This is my website. It's an Amazon affiliate website. So find a drone you like on there, you click go to Amazon. Little old Danny gets a cut. Just a little bitty cut.
There you go.
Little bitty cut.
You'll learn that about Market Explainer really quick, is we don't mind sharing, and that's what, look, we all know what we're doing here, man. Come on.
Right, yeah, of course. All right, so this last story is what the big man loves to call, let's tell you what, this is a non-story, tell you what, pew, 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 pew.
Damn straight.
Yeah. So, Louis Vuitton, and for those of you unaffiliated here, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy LVMH is one of the world's largest luxury goods companies.
Is it actual Louis or is it Louis Vuitton?
It is Louis Vuitton.
I've always heard Louis Vuitton. There's
in America,
even though the S, it's Louis.
It's Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy is the world's largest. They are, I think, the CEO or the founder of LVMH is richer currently. Right now, is wealthier than Jeff Bezos.
Really?
So, yeah. So Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos were competing for richest person in the world for a while. Out of third place comes LVMH. So,
well, there you go.
He was number one the last time I Googled it, but by now, who knows? I think sending that dick into the sky kind of put a dinger in Bezos' bottom line. But the reason we're talking about this is Louis Vuitton. They're trying to Louis Vuitton has had a little more credibility in streetwear because they did all these partnerships with Supreme, and in order to, it's such a boomer thing too. In order to attract those younger customers, they put out a mobile video game called Louis the Game, with 30 NFTs in it, 10 of which are by people, which is kind of like the Banksy of NFTs. But it's just such a boomer thing, like, what are the kids into these days? TikToking? Well, we are putting a TikToking inside of our green egg. It's just...
So they created a video game, an app specifically. They created an app game that follows the Louis Vuitton story way back 200 years ago.
1821.
right? And you know what I mean, this kind of stuff. And again, I read more about that story than I really care to know today. You know what I mean, about that it took him 2 years to walk to Paris and blah 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 blah.
Are you telling me Mrs. the Big Man doesn't have an LV purse with a Louis
Oh,
Vuitton purse?
I have no doubt she probably does, but God, do I care? I don't care. But so they created, and when I say they had someone create a game,
Yeah.
right? That with the idea of all these older brands, as you said, and you know way more about this brand, what's hip than I do. Okay, I don't know or care, but my point though is they're trying to connect with younger people, right?
Right.
Because you have this cyclical environment of people buying things. Champion came back. When I was a kid, Champions were cheap, right? It was cheap.
Right.
Nobody
Kmart.
wore Champions, and now Champion
Kmart.
is everything, right? So the point though is they're trying to connect with these younger consumers with money, right?
Right.
And they think, as you said, it's the most boomer thing that I have seen in quite some time. In
Right.
that if you ask a boomer to go into a high school today and make a
Right.
speech about entrepreneurship, and you try to add in every TikTok slang term, every whatever, that's what this looks like to me. Is Louis Vuitton somebody got taken for a ride for a game and probably got charged way too much because they
Right.
said they went into a boardroom and said, hey, you know what an NFT is? Oh, you don't? That's what everybody's talking about. We're going to put them in here. You know what an app is? Oh, those are things on your phone, right? Yeah,
Right.
we're going to make you a custom one. And by custom, I mean it's no different than anybody else's, but
Right.
it has your name on it.
This is like in every 80s movie or like 90s movie where the white teacher goes to the urban
Yes.
school and they sit
Yes.
on the chair backwards and they put their hat on backwards and they're like, hey man, I'm going to
Hey.
teach you about English with rap. You know?
Yes, I'm going to rap to you and we're going to connect. And somehow I'm going to save you from your
So-
horrible parent household. Yes,
For those
that's
of you
exactly
who
what
are-
this is.
Yeah, so like LVMH's current creative director is a guy named Virgil Abloh, owner of Off-White. You know, he's kind of like he's black. He's Kanye West's guy. So, he's brought more of a streetwear urban flair to Louis Vuitton, Moe, and Hennessy. Here's the point: I don't know that they care so long as they're selling stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, in order to keep the brand aspirational for young people, this is how they do it, right?
Well, but there's
I have a
more
friend-
effective ways to do it than be.
Okay.
This sounds to me like somebody young went into a boardroom of old whites, old people
Well, they're
that
fr-
didn't
they're French,
that,
so yeah,
that-
they're gonna be
whatever
white.
old whites that didn't know what they were talking about, right? But it sounded very convincing and good on whatever company did this and got paid probably tens of millions of dollars, right?
Right.
And Louis Vuitton's writing it off. They're not looking to make any money directly off of this because the NFTs are all 30 NFTs can be earned in the game. They're not for sale. You can't go buy them. So they're not generating any money directly from the game. They want it as a marketing tool, which is probably what they were sold as. So I have no problem with them getting paid from that, but it doesn't that their partnerships with, like, they partnered in 2019 with League of Legends, one of the biggest games in the world. On the esports side or whatever, they had a company design clothing for the game in the game. That, to me, probably cost them less and benefited them more reaching those people than a game that nobody's going to download.
So here's what I think. I think this is genius. I think that I love seeing these companies, like a company like Louis Vuitton, so older than most of the
Most
dirt
things.
near my
Yeah,
house,
most.
right? And the fact that they're willing to stay competitive and willing to try stuff, they're being Googled here, okay? They're going, is this going to work? Is this going to work?
I think that's a stretch. All right, they're being good.
Okay.
No,
What I'm saying is they're being nimble, they're being flexible, they're trying stuff. LVMH has a market value of something like $415 billion, $415 billion. So that's a lot of money. So let's say they spent 15 M's on this program. which I don't think they did. I don't think they spent 50 M's on it at all. Let's just say they did. It means nothing.
Okay.
It literally means nothing.
And I don't mind that piece of it. Some company made a crap ton of money off of them, right? That they're going to get, and good for that company. I again, and look, this is a danger for any company, right? There is a danger of any company that doesn't understand something, that comes in and spends a lot of money that they get no return on investment on because they didn't understand it, right? This is happening all over. People, I see it in the whole industry of social media marketers. 90% of them, in my opinion, are worthless. But they convince these old whites that, no, I'm awesome on Twitter. I'm awesome
on
white
people, okay? I don't think it's about white people.
No, look, it's just these old people, period, okay?
Yeah.
That don't understand. They walk in, I've got 50,000, Instagram subscribers or followers, so they think that person that doesn't understand what Instagram is thinks that that's impressive, so they must know all social media because they have this one thing that looks impressive, which you don't even know if that is, right?
Hey, my now banned Twitter account at 20,000 followers, that got me a job once. So,
well, but that's my point. That's my point. So if I don't know the story behind this, but that's what it sounds like to me, is some company out there got in front of a whole bunch of old people that didn't know what they were talking about, and this sounded very cool to them. Oh, my grandkids are going to love it. Right?
Well, yeah,
my grandkid will download the LV story and play the game and.
Well, that could be the case. It also could be, like I said, their creative director's Virgil Abloh. It's very possible that Virgil Abloh was saying, "Hey, listen, NFTs are a thing, phone games are a thing. It's a turducken. Let's just shove this thing into this thing and stick it all in the oven, right?" What it is.
How old is this Virgil Abloh? Not that age is everything. You can know about technology and be 80 years old.
He's got to be in his early to mid 30s.
Real okay. So they have a creative director that, at the very least, is in the age category that you would hope that they would know what they're doing, right?
Right.
So, and again, I don't want to be ageist here or any kind of ist. That's normally Danny's thing.
Oh, let me take it back. He is 40.
Okay, so I feel his pain, but my point is I usually use the is stuff to Danny. I usually leave that to Danny.
Leave it up to me.
Okay, but this sounds like somebody's taking somebody for a ride. I would be interested to see how many downloads this game actually gets. Right. It's not like it's going to be the next Crazy Bird or something like that.
Right.
Who's going to play this?
I don't know. I just have one question. Why can't we be the people who are taking LVMH for $15 million?
Again.
Why are we doing a podcast? Why can't we be that guy?
So Danny, as we all know, loves a good scam. Or what, might be a good scam. This is not a scam. They paid for a product. They're getting a product, right? So it's not a scam. It, to me, again, is a little scammy that whoever company took their money, that no way Louis Vuitton is getting this, not going to do what they think it's going to do. Okay, it's just not. So that's what I mean by scam. They're getting taken for a ride here, and good, and again, they're getting what they paid for. So it's not a scam. So a couple of times here we've talked about today, nice scammy behavior that Danny really enjoys. The education service that's ran by somebody that dropped out of college. The why can't we get $15 million for Louis Vuitton, giving them a white labeled game app?
Yeah. Why are we doing a podcast when we could be doing that? That's my only question.
Because I'm not that guy. Danny is, but I'm not.
Closing out the show today, I do have some unfortunate news. This will be our last episode. I received a call yesterday saying that my social security number has been compromised and will be deactivated. So I guess I have to leave the country now. So,
and asking you to click a link and verify all of your other personal information.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're going to really need that Avast Norton software here at Market Explainer.
The NortonLifeLock Avast, yeah.
Danny may be calling in from a street corner next week.
All
right, folks, we'll see you next time around.
Bye now.